come back as we always do and give a presentation. And so Greg Key was a district manager, and he called me up and he said, Sean, I want to bring down some of my supervisors because they're the ones that want to make it happen. You have a problem with that? And of course, no, absolutely. If you think that it'd be beneficial. And they're in the back of the room as Greg and Jason are giving their presentations. Sits Marty and Potts, that's right. Marty and Potts. And, well, I think you will see why we made a special invitation to ask Marty to come back. This year, we invited Marty. Greg came. I don't know why. But Marty, South Cairo, he's going to give you a little story about how he is a supervisor, as a manager, as a leader there, transitioned South Cairo from worst to first. Marty?
Thank you. Can everybody hear me all right? Yeah. Okay. Marty Hansen, South Cairo. I've been in the business about 17, 18 years. Okay. And never had to go far for a job. I always worked for the same outfit. And owners have changed hands quite a few times, actually. And every owner, it seemed every owner that I had, there was only one thing important, and that was get the trash off the ground at any cost. It didn't matter who got hurt, really. It didn't matter how long you stayed out on a route. Nothing mattered. Just pick my shit up, basically. I got real fortunate 3.5 years ago when Waste Connections took us over. And I know this sounds weird, but although I didn't really buy into the system and my guys didn't buy into the system, it was still heaven sent because we started getting treated like human beings instead of just a number. Sean's kind of wasn't being truthful. It's actually, I'm here speaking because I won out on a bet, but whatever. It's something I wanted to do. I wanted to speak to the frontline guys, right, like myself, operations supervisor, and I wanted to speak because I wanted to give back a little something to the company that I felt has done so much for me and my family. It's the least I could do. And man, I hope people grab a little something from it. But the reason why I'm kind of reaching out to the frontline guy is for the simple reason I was sitting there a couple years ago, and everything was new to me. I was confused. I had so many questions running through my mind. And I'm like, man, is my eye rate too far gone for somebody to help me? And, are they not only are they going to be able to help me, but is it going to be something that I'm going to be able to overcome? You know, what if I buy into this? What if I put all this time into this and I'm not seeing anything? You know, am I going to see results? And if so, how quick am I going to see? So I want to reach out to you guys. And listen, before I even get going, Dan Schooler, you got a copy? Dan actually was my DVP when they took over 3.5 years ago. And this guy had me dead to rights. Took over the Hudson Valley Division, one of the biggest divisions in the country. And they had me in charge of one of the sites. And I'm going to come clean with you on everything. I'm embarrassed for how I acted at the time, but I didn't know any better. And Dan Schooler came in, and now he's got this big site here. He's got some monster sites up there in New York, and I had an eye rate every year was triple digits. Sometimes we were kick ass. I'd have the eye rate down to 85. And I'm not bullshitting you when I tell you we go every 4 days, we have an incident. Every 4 days, okay? And we'd average about $750,000 a year in damage. Just on the safety side. You might as well throw it out the window, because that's what we're responsible for. So Mr. Schooler had me on the ropes, and dead to rights. After speaking with me, you know, he felt that that there was something in me that I'd be able to pass on to my guys instead of passing on the old owner's message. He felt that I was more than capable of passing on the Waste Connections message. And for that, Dan, I always got a place in my heart for you, and thank you for me and my family. Moving on, what's he do? Now I'm hearing, I had Dan tell me, hey, look, it's not your fault you saw. It's not your fault. It's the environment that you have around you. You know, it's the people that you have around you. And I have never, and I'm telling you, I've never been surrounded by so many influential people in my life. People that, you know, now I can lean on every day, like Eric Merrills. You always have Doc. You know, I got my new DVP, Jay Kraft. I have Tony. I mean, Sean, Hank. I mean, the list goes on and on. And so they bring in Greg Heat. He said, I'm going to bring somebody in. And Greg Heat comes, and when he actually came to the site that day, like I said, we were ballpark 100 high rate. Greg Heat comes rolling in, and like that movie, you know, well, first of all, I had trucks coming in line 3 deep, and on the back of hooks from damage, people yelling at each other, fighting. I didn't know any better, you know, because I got the shit done, I got the runs done. My owner, actually, the owner of the company, Scott Earl, he loved me. He loved me because I worked 7 days a week for the guy. And I wouldn't go home until the runs were off the ground. And it was just so nice to be treated instead of a packing mule to get stuff done as a human being. And he brought in Greg Heat. So Greg's watching all this go down. And he's like, hey, man, those are your trucks, right? I said, yeah, all 3 of them. I said, yeah, we're having a good day, there's only 3 today. And I was expecting him just kind of to take a different route instead, you know. He's like, hey, dude, you got a place to eat around here? Yeah, all right, let's go. So he's sitting next to me in the truck. We're heading down to a local diner. It's the first time I ever met him. And I'm thinking to myself, like that movie with Patrick Swayze, Roadhouse. They bring in a guy, he's got to straighten up all the club scene and the bars, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? And everybody said to him, to Patrick Swayze, you know, I was expecting somebody a little bit bigger. That's kind of what I was saying about Greg. You know? And I was saying that about Greg because he had a hat on backwards, he had a scruffy beard, you know, he's a frat boy, for Christ's sake. And I said, what's this guy going to tell me about garbage? Right? This guy's not going to tell me anything about garbage. I've been in 18 years. I'll tell you what, you can't judge a book by its cover. Greg, anybody who knows me and knows how I feel about this guy, he's it. I mean, he's done a lot for me. He's somebody that I look up to. Always looked up to him for the simple fact he's everything that I wasn't, but I wanted to be. He'd have guys calling from his other sites, you know, and I'd get jealous. I'm like, you're my boss, dude. What are you doing on the phone with somebody else, you know? And he'd say, oh, they're just looking for direction. I said, I don't care, dude. Give me direction. I'm just self-orders, you know? So Greg and I, so we watched eat, and I didn't know him from anything. He sat across from me, big plate of fried chicken in front of him, you know. And this is embarrassing, right here. This part's embarrassing. Because I thought at that time that the driver, he wrecked the truck, the driver sucks, right? So Greg sat across from me, and what do? I chalk and bust wheels with one of my drivers. Save my own ass, right? At first, I didn't realize that I was the one that couldn't possibly be in trouble, you know? So I throw one of my shitty drivers out to Greg, and I'm like, hey, Greg, man, I got this driver, Daryl. This guy sucks. Wrecks a truck once a week, he wrecks a truck. We're probably getting rid of him, right, Greg? Greg looks up at me, a little shrug, continues to eat his chicken. I didn't get anything out of him. So I went to the big A's in the hole, and I said, I'll tell you what, I got this guy who really sucks, Greg. This guy's probably responsible for about $250,000 a year by himself. He really sucks. We're probably getting rid of him too, right, Greg? Greg looks up at me, chicken grease all over his face, and he says, no, not really. He said, you know, you're kind of in the crosshairs. My focus is going to be on you, but whatever. Hey, Marty, you gonna eat that? And I'm like, no, Greg, I love it. You're that much shit. So I'm a little taken back by it, you know? I'm like, Greg, how do you figure? Why am I in the crosshairs? Why am I in the crosshairs? I run 2 routes a day for you, okay? You don't know that, but you'll find out. You're in a jam, I'm the one getting you out of it. I sacrifice everything here to make sure that my job's done, best of my knowledge. I don't understand why I'd be in the crosshairs. Easy, big fella, easy. I said, no, I think you kind of got me going a little bit. I can't drive for these guys. I can't drive for them. They all have license, right? They got commercial driver's license. They know what they're doing. So he said, hey, look, he said, how are your meetings in the morning? Or how are your safety meetings? What do you mean, how are my safety meetings? I mean, they know to wear the reflective shit, right? I mean, they know that. Oh, okay. Well, hey, if you're out on the route, superhero, you know, doing a run and a half a day, I mean, when do you see the guys? What do you mean, when do I see them? I'm out doing the same thing they're doing. I don't really see them, but they got my number. If they need anything, they have my phone number. Yeah, okay. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, you want to impress me? Instead of doing the 2 runs a day, how about doing 1 run? How about your guys doing one run a day? And then bringing the truck back with the fenders on. That'll impress me for starters. And so that's how Greg and I kind of got off together. Now, I realized in a hurry, Greg made it crystal clear. He was responsible for every single thing that I did or didn't do. And Guy had patience of the same to deal with me, because not only did we have one of the larger divisions in the country, we had me running worst I rate in the country, but I made up for it because I didn't know how to use a computer, so whatever. So that's what Greg had to deal with. Now, as time went on, he knew this is what I give him credit for, because I knew nothing about safety culture. I knew nothing. Every year I was in the business, 17 years, just picked the trash up. It was like, that's what I was programmed to do. Greg realized that, and what he ended up doing was, knew he couldn't overwhelm me, so he said, hey, man, we're going to break it down nice and easy, like, these 2 things. Try to get a grasp of these. One of them was safety, and one of them was leadership, with an integrity chaser. He threw that in there as well. And I knew nothing about any of them, to be honest with you. But one thing I did know is I sure looked up to the way the guy carried himself. And it was something I never was. It's something that I wanted to be. So I was all in. I said, bro, I'm all in. Time went on, just keep asking questions, right? He said, hey, look, man, just safety, integrity, safety, integrity. He said, I had this thing I want to send you to. It's called Target District Training, all right? And I want you to try it out. I didn't know much about it. He just said, hey, man, I've been around you long enough to know that I think you'll drink the Kool-Aid when your senior leader starts speaking. I think you'll drink the Kool-Aid and you'll be in. And I said, dude, I'm all in. You know that. And so here we go, Target 1. I come in, and it was so different than what I had anticipated, you know, being around. I'm a Marine, you know, and normally you start dealing with the guys with stripes on their shoulders. They don't really kind of give you time of day. So as I came in the door, had my hand out to shake, I was getting hugs all over the place. Hey, I'm a hugger. I can deal with this. Things are awesome, you know. And they treated you even though, and the whole time I'm thinking, hey, Greg, what is this? What's this all about? He didn't really tell me. And I'm like, you know, I finally got the picture when I sat down, and I give him the elbow. Okay, it's AA for shitty managers, right? No, it's not really that. It's people that don't really maybe die guys that they just acquired, maybe, I realize now it could be many things. You know, I'm not a Hank Coles. I can't really break it down, but I can tell you my story. So now I'm sitting here at Target District, right? And the people that are coming up speaking, it was blowing my mind. Because Greg's polite, he's nice, you can go to him, and he always kept talking about servant leadership and safety. Servant leadership, safety, integrity. And the definition of it, I don't know. I can judge it how Greg carries himself, just genuinely committed to helping you any time of the day. Any day or night, you call him up, he'll help you out. Wants to make sure, and you know what, obviously wants to make sure that you're doing well at work, right? Because numbers are important to him, that's how he feeds his family. But he wants you to be a better person in general. He wants you to be a better person in your own home, outside of work. He wants to help you succeed. And now I have Gregs everywhere, and everybody's talking, and I'm like, my God, I've never been surrounded by people like this. This is awesome. So I'm all in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, right? We go out, man, I'm writing notes down, I'm telling you, until my hand cramps up. When somebody's up speaking, I don't understand, my hand's up. Hey, can you explain that to me? I don't understand, Sean. These guys are more than willing to break it down to where you can't understand it, right? And I was getting involved. In everything that was getting said. I was in. Because I had already made my mind up that I was committed to the change. I was going to do it. And it's not for so long, looking back on it, man, I'm embarrassed. Worst numbers in the country. Never really looked after anybody, I didn't get it, but I'm starting to get it now. So I'm excited. We get that 15, 20-minute break, whatever we had at the time, and Sean or Hank, one of those guys say, hey, go out, get yourself a cold drink, and be back in here. I'm like a little school kid, man. I got my notebook with all my golden nuggets on it, and I'm scooting out. And talking to guys, right, outside, I'd come up to somebody that wasn't doing anything, and I'd say, hey, look, this is what I got. What are you doing at your place? Let's exchange. So I'm swapping these golden nuggets, right? I come by, here's your shit. I come back, I go by this group of managers, and if they were even talking about, hey, look at, man, I couldn't believe it. I drive by this club. We don't have clubs like that in Arkansas. That's what I'm going to do when I get out of here. Me personally, I wasn't even going to waste my time, because I was here for one thing, and it was to make a change. And I looked at it as a challenge, not even a challenge, more than a challenge. I looked at this time here as being an opportunity. More than an opportunity, I looked at it as being an opportunity of a lifetime. And I'm telling you, from the minute I stepped into this place, I had it made up in my mind. When I walked out of here, when I found out what an I-rate was.
Sorry.
Dude, come on, really? When I found out what an I-rate was, I guaranteed everybody that I would have the biggest turnaround that year. And so I come back in after my lunch break, and it's some of the same people. I got a heavy dose of Sean, I got a heavy dose of Hank, we got Middlestad up there, all the big dogs. And matter of fact, Milo had a chunk. That year, everybody's talking, and my hands hammering down, writing notes once again, till my hands got sore. If I didn't understand what was getting said, I asked questions, right? I got involved. I got double dinged about 15 times, right, Hank? Right? I mean, I was into that. It was the best thing ever. Now here's the kicker. When we let out at the day's end, after day one, hey, look, I like to party with the next guy, don't get me wrong, right, Sean? I'll tell you what, this first night, something came over me after being released from this place. I went and got some supper with Greg and his other managers, but I didn't party it up that night.
I went directly home after filling up my pot, and I'm telling you guys, I fucking called everybody. I called everybody at my site. I called my drivers, right? I called my maintenance department, okay? I called salesmen. I called friends, family. I was on the phone. No bullshit, right, Greg? I called them all, and I apologized to them. I said, hey, man, I'm at this meeting, and this whole time, man, I got things got them mixed up. I was led down the wrong avenue, basically. But I'm getting a big picture now, and I'm going to change. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to make you guys proud of me. And I said it's so important to keep you guys safe and make sure that you guys get home to your family each night, which I haven't done in the past. I've let you down. You know, there's a thing out there called leadership. I'm learning about it, but I'm going to get back to you. We're going to make some big changes when I get home. And at that time, I couldn't even get through to some of my drivers because just how I treated them at work, maybe, you know. And but I spoke to their wife. If their wife picked up, hey, look at Tanya, you know, tell them we got some change coming down the pike, right? Now, second day coming in here, same thing. Sit down at the table. I was here, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. People come up talking. Another heavy dose of Sean, Eric, heavy dose of Hank, Doc Loader. And I was writing down shit and my hands cramped. I wanted all the information I could get. Somebody was speaking. I didn't understand it. My hand was up. I was getting involved, right? After this, I was so sure that with all this valuable information I had gotten from here, right in this room, and all the golden nuggets that I was able to pull from everybody, including the guys at the table, because it was a free-for-all. I was so sure. I got together with Eric Merrill, Hank, and Sean and Greg, and I said, hey, look, I'm so positive, right? I may have 114 I rate right now. Give me a year. And I said, invite me back so I can get some more information, and I'll guarantee you the biggest turnaround out of everybody. And I'm sure they were weighing it out and saying, geez, last year, 750 grand for damage, plane ticket, 750. Okay, Hansen, and that's how it went down. Hansen, you're on. We left, right? We left Houston, and Greg's had a couple other managers from another site, his other site. Potts, had Potts there, Roger, Nick Moravillo. And we're waiting for our plane, right, at the airport. I could tell, dude, I could just tell by talking with them, exchanging ideas, that these guys, they fucking got it too. They got it, right? They had the edge going on. I could tell by the enthusiasm in their voices, right? I could tell by the look in their eyes that I wasn't alone. Dude, we were off. This was going to be cool. This was going to be a fresh start for everybody, right? It was going to be a new beginning. And everybody was committed. So now, hate flying. Once again, even though I'm a Marine, hate flying, meant to be on the ground. I had to take some NyQuil to calm myself down. And Greg probably even added a little something else into my drink. But so I'm on the plane and I'm jacked up, and I'm telling you, and guys, I'm speaking from the heart, right? I'm speaking from the heart. Fucking jacked up with all this information. I couldn't wait, right? I had already made the calls to my friends and work, everybody at my site, and I said, guys, you wait. I couldn't wait. I'm sitting on a plane and I'm thumbing through all my stuff, right? And my head's ready to explode, literally. And then I got thinking. Greg always said to me, got to look in the mirror, right? He said, in order to make any kind of change, you really got to look in the mirror critically at yourself and how you act, right? So I'm so jacked up. I'm ready to go through this change, and I'm ready to go and unleash this product onto my guys and have them buy in. I knew I could do it, but I'm like, how am I going to pull this off? How am I going to do this when Greg tells me to look in the mirror and I realize I'm the problem? I've been the problem the whole time. It's not even my guys. Oh, now I'm really screwed. I am really screwed now. But I'll tell you what, I've never had anybody that I could lean on, right? It was forbidden. The companies I worked for before couldn't ask for any help. If I asked for help, here's what I'd get. I'd have Daryl Chambliss, the Daryl there, the big dog, would say, hey, Hansen, if I'm answering your question, what do I need you for? So it kind of taught me, and real quick, just to shut up and figure it out. So I had to wing it a lot of times. But now, not now, because I got Greg sitting next to me. He's my go-to guy. And after all, I did make a commitment that from this point on, I was going to make a change. Things that I didn't do before, I'm going to do now. There was no getting embarrassed. I didn't give a shit, So now, bing, bang, I give him the elbow. He's got his earplugs in. Looks over at me, hey, what's up, bud? I said, Greg, I got this problem. Man, I'm listening to everybody talk at Target District, and I got all these new ideas, and I got all these golden nuggets. I can't wait for the plane to land, and I want to just get this ball rolling, but I've got one problem. How am I going to have my guys buy into what I'm trying to sell them? How am I going to lead them when I realize I've been a problem the whole time? And Greg just kind of grabs my notebook that's on my lap, right? I had two notebooks loaded to the hilt with ammo. And he grabs one of the notebooks off my lap, and he's thumbing through it. And he gets about 5-6 pages in, maybe 7 pages. Looks at me, hums it on my lap, and said, hey, your answer is right there, young grasshopper. Puts his earphones back in, puts his head back, but he's looking at me, right? I look over at him, I take it, and I'm looking for my answer. Big letters, big thick letters, says Sean Mandel. Under where it says Sean Mandel says, hang your ego on the door. It's a line that he used a few years back. Hang my ego at the door. Hang my ego at the door. I look over at Greg, he gives me a smile, a thumbs up, closes his eyes. I said, man, it sure is nice when you just ask somebody and you get the help, So I got it. My plane lands in New York, right? First thing I do, I'm calling everybody again. And I say, hey, guess what? We got a safety meeting, guys. 2 o'clock in the morning, we got a safety meeting. I need everybody there. I want everybody from the maintenance department. I want every one of the drivers. I want all the sales. You want to bring your kids, you bring whoever you want, because we have a big meeting. Of course, Greg made it. I mean, Kraft, he's made meetings 2 o'clock in the morning, and he has to leave his house at like 11:30. But old Greg never misses a meeting. So I got all these guys there, right? And I thought it was going to be more difficult, but once again, I made the commitment to change. And in order to get people to follow me, I felt that I had to go down with the shit and take fault, right? So everybody comes in and I tell them, hey, look, man, I just came from this Target District meeting, and this thing was awesome. I said, the whole time I thought you sucked as a driver, but guess what? It was me. I wasn't a manager. I was no leader. I said, I'll tell you one thing. Moving forward, I found out what this thing called the I-rate is. I'm the worst in the country. You're the worst in the country. I've been a horrible leader. I'm going to give you my commitment that I'm going to change. I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to get you home to your family safe. Okay? I'm going to remove obstacles out of your daily routine. I have so many ideas here, and we're going to make them work. We're going to make them work because I want to be the best. I'm not the only competitive one in here. And guys, you guys are the same way, right? You guys want to be the best. That's the way that it is. Our drivers are no different. If you think they are, you got another thing coming. And so I had all the guys, we're all on the edge of their seat, and they're like, hey, dude, let's do it. And I said, hey, we got to do it, because I already ran my mouth saying we'd have the best numbers. Greg, he takes the wheel, right? And because I started just going off and repeating myself. I get real jacked up, and that's all I've heard since we've left this meeting. That's all I've heard. It's how committed he is, and he wants to be the best. And I'm going to need you guys to do. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it as a team together, and even more than a team. We're going to do it as a family, tight-knit family, and we're going to lean on each other every step of the way. Right? We're going to pull this thing off. And I'm telling you, when Greg got done finishing up that speech, dude, the place went fucking nuts. Guys high-fiving, hugging. 2 guys ran across the office naked, holding peanut oil. But dude, the place went nuts. And I'll tell you something right now. If I had only known, I made the peanut oil up, but if I had only known, I'll tell you right now, if I had only known how important it was for our drivers to want to be led and looked after and taken care of and have somebody to go to, dude, I would have changed my ways 17 years ago. Hands down. Hands down. And some change had to happen, obviously. You can't just go in there and say, hey, look, dude, we're changing. We're going to be the best now. All right, later. That's not going to happen. We had to do a lot. One of the things, and here comes some more embarrassing things. I used to be out on the truck all the time and spend my day. There's times that I'd work so many hours out on the road, I'd literally bring my truck home, the garbage truck. Neighbors love that shit. But I'd bring the garbage truck right home, long hours. Greg said, hey, man, we're going to make this work. You got to be in the office. You got to be in the office. Instead of having my office back, next to where the garage was, right, with a big do not disturb sign that's this long, right? I didn't even have an office anymore. I moved that out. We gave it to the mechanics. I have a little desk. I got a modest little desk. It's by the front door where dispatch is. Every day, when my drivers open up that door to come into work in the morning, who's waiting for them? Whoop, whoop, me. That's who. And I'm finding out how their night was, right? I'm finding out if they're okay to drive. I'm finding out. I'm sniffing their breath, making sure they're not drinking, because I give a shit, and they know I'm all over them when it comes to safety, right? They know I'm all over them. But I want to find out how their night is. Hey, look, when you're out there today, do me a favor. You got any stops you think are unsafe? Hey, come see me at the end of the day, right? These are some things that we're going to start doing. And man, we brought in another guy for a driver. Kind of put him in a nucleus. We run probably 4.5 counties. So we took a run or two, we brought in a couple guys and had them put them in as a nucleus and took hour off him, hour off him, hour off him, hour off him. Guys get home, enjoy their family life. So after we made all these changes, and we started having safety meetings that count, right? That actually meant something. No more, hey, make sure you're wearing your high-vis later. Wasn't like that. Dude, we were talking, guys were getting involved. And like Greg said to me one time,
I told Greg, I said, man, before we even came into Target District, I said, hey, Greg, if I don't have this that you're looking for, I don't have this that you're looking for, I don't have this what you're looking for, why don't you just go ahead and call corporate? I don't understand why you're not calling corporate and bringing in somebody who has those. And Greg always told me, he said, man, you got something that money can't buy. You treat your drivers like shit, right? But they're loyal to you. For some reason, I don't know what it is about you, but there's a flame that burns in there, and them guys that dig whatever you're selling them, they're buying it. You can jump off a bridge, and they know they're going to get hurt, but they're jumping off that bridge for you. And if you can if we somehow bottle all that passion that you have for your family and spread it on these guys, which is family as well. Greg told me, there's not a doubt in my mind. He said, me and you, kid, every single year will be one of the elite teams in the country. He said, you buy into what I'm cooking, and I'll make it happen. And he's right. The guy was right. So we make all these changes, right? And I'm telling you, the guys, they love that change so much, right? They loved it. Every morning, my guys would come in, they'd hit me, hey, Hansen, get on that, hey, hop on the Daily Flames. How's so-and-so doing? How's so-and-so doing? And everybody was all these target district teams all wanted the whole shot. Everybody came out charging out of the gates, because they wanted to be the one that was leading. And I had already read my mouth, guaranteeing that we'd have a big turnaround. I had a lot of pressure on me. As the year progressed, the team started dropping out, right? And I don't know if they lost their edge. I don't know if leaders weren't doing their job, people getting lazy. I don't know. But one team never went away, and that was Jason Zett and Wichita, Kansas. Jason Zett, you heard Ron speak about him earlier. It's not irony. Dude, I'm telling you, it's not irony that Jason Zebbs is back here, right, duking it out with Greg Heath, right? He cites Jason Zebbs. I was fortunate to listen to Jason Zebbs speak last year, and mirror image with Greg Heath, just a real A1 guy. I mean, that guy had his stuff together. You could tell. Real players coach, cared about his guys, and Ron's not here, right? Ron's not here? Good, because I forgot to tell you that Jason Zett, his boy that he mentioned 5 times, Greg beat him out. Well, whatever. So we actually ended up pulling it off that year. You cut that, didn't you? You didn't get that? So Greg's actually, his boys ended up beating out Zett, and it was a tight race. But I'll tell you something, what fun it was, sending emails back and forth, and stealing each other's ideas, and sharing ideas with one another, because it came down to the wire. Like I said, we nudged them out, and I'll probably say it 3 more times, 86% turnaround. And guess what? And that's what you boys are going to do. Because everybody's at a table. There should be 2 sides, right, Sean? That's going to be your opposition for this year. You guys are going to exchange emails, 2 sides, 2 sides, 2 sides. And you guys are going to have some friendly competition all year long. And you'll see how much fun it is. Everybody copy that? Good. All right. All right. So we come back now, right? Following year. We come back to claim our prize. We actually got a plaque for the biggest turnaround. Now we're back at it, right? I could have probably sat back, had my hands behind my head, right? Basked in the sunlight a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But did I? I didn't. Why did I not do that? Why did I not do that? Hank Coles, I'm going to give you a hint. How come? How come? Because Hank Coles was sitting on my shoulder, right? Saying, okay, Marty, you got your guys here. Now we want to get to there. You understand me? From here to there. So that's what we did. Man, I was back at it. Back at it. Guys came in to speak. Some of the same faces that I saw the previous year. Some new faces. But I'm back at the old game plan, right? Because I want to get from here to there. And I'm writing down notes. And what I don't understand, my hand's up. I'm asking questions. And I'm getting involved. And the weirdest thing happened to me. Now Sean sends us out for a 15-minute break, right? And here's how life kind of comes around full circle. Everything that I looked up to for Greg, right? Said, man, everybody's always yanking on him. Hey, help, Greg, help. And I was always hurt. It's never happened to me. We get released for our first 15-minute break. I'm outside and I have my notebook. I want to find out who wants to swap some ideas, right? And I got people I don't even know that were sitting at the tables, right, from the prior year, saying, hey, Marty, hey, what'd you guys do to turn things around? And I was like, oh my God, my SpongeBob teeth got some air. I'm smiling all over the place. I felt important, right? And I said, what a great feeling it is to help people out. It's an awesome feeling. And I'll tell you something. Went by one of the groups to swap ideas. Had a manager there. And I said, hey man, you want to swap some information? This is what I pulled from his speech. What do you have?
And he actually had the audacity to come with a little of this. Well, look, man, we got a pretty good thing in play.
But we just had one of those years. Just had one of those years. Really, dude? You had one of those years? As far as I'm concerned, I didn't say anything to him. I just said, hey, okay, no, that's fine. That's cool. But I went to Greg afterwards and gave an elbow, and I said, hey, dude, there's going to be somebody that's coming back next year, I'll guarantee it. Hey, what are you saying? Because he just had one of those years. When you say
You're having one of those years, you're going to have one of those years. You might as well just say, hey, I'm going to be lazy this year, or I'm not going to lead my guys this year. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. So with the second day let out, second, I was so sure now with all these new nuggets, all these new ideas that I had gotten from Target District, that there's no stopping me now. Now the sky's the limit. Threw a guarantee out there once, we pulled it off, biggest turnaround. Greg said, hey, Hansen, shut up, don't do that. You're gonna jinx us. And I'm like, dude, I got this. And one thing Greg said, always told me, because I said to him one day, I said, man, it seems like you got everything figured out, Greg. And he's like, no, dude. He said, the minute you think you have it figured out is when you don't. It's when you don't. Because now you're back to Hank Coles. You're here, instead of going there, you're going to be stagnant. You're going to hang out in one spot. And I got together at the end of that meeting after getting all the new material, right, and all the new golden nuggets. I get cocky. I get together with Sean and Hank, right, and now I got a new DVP, Jason Kraft. Eric Merrill was there, Greg, and I said, hey, I'll tell you what, dude, I got so much good stuff out of this meeting, I'll make a deal with you. If I pull off my site pulls off a perfect 0, no claims throughout the course of the year, can I come back again? Can I get some more information? Now they're weighing it out, saying, well, a year ago, $750,000, 114 I rate to a 0. Yeah, Hansen, you're on. Hop off the plane. I'm stoked. Get all my guys together. And I'm like, hey, guys, we're gearing up for another run. We're here. Now we're going to go there. Breaks my heart, but we didn't get the perfect 0. Didn't get the perfect 0, but I'll tell you something. Very proud of my guys, because we did a year stint, okay? Mid-December, to mid-December, 1 preventable claim. It's a $10 gutter cap, right? That's how. Whoop, whoop. Hey, now I'll tell you something. Even though it was just, one claim, from mid-December, $10 gutter cap, 1 preventable claim, we took it like we ran over a human being. That's no bullshit. And my guys as well. It wasn't just me that was hurt. It wasn't just Greg that was hurt. It was all my guys. They all were, it was like you just went in and stole their family dog. Everybody was hurting over it. And, Greg always said, hey, Hansen, before you point the fingers, right? Yeah, you got to take a look in the mirror. What could we have done different? Dude, that was on me. I ate that claim, and I'll tell you why. Because the guy that actually bumped into the gutter was a driver that drove for us for 10 years, but he was with Waste Management for like 30, right, Greg? 40-year employee, right? And stellar driver. No incident. The guy was golden, right? Everybody 2 years ago would hit stuff. That's a guy's first incident he's ever had. Excuse me. He suffered a minor stroke-like symptoms. Precautionary measures, they kept him out of work for X amount of days, right? Wasn't a long time at all. And Greg has to balance his time out with my site. The other site he's got down south, and he hangs out with Jay Kraft up there in Clifton Park all the time. So told him what was going on. He said, hey man, Marty, come a long way, dude. You got big turnaround. You haven't let me down in 2 years. This one's your baby. He knew how much numbers mean to me, people's safety means to me now. He knew I wasn't going to blow it intentionally, but I made the wrong decision. Even though the doctor said, hey, you can come back in 7 days and drive.
I could have taken a different approach and kind of stretched it out. So that one really hurt. But before I started, I was talking about those questions that I had when I first sat there, right, a couple years back. And one of them was, hey, is my I rate too bad? Is my I rate too far gone for this target district to help me? I think I answered that, dude, at 114 I rate. I think the highest I rate in here today is 43, 44, right? So I more than doubled that and tripled some of the others. So there's your question. You're not too far gone, right? To answer the other question, hey, if I'm going to get results, how long is it going to take before I even see a result? Here, I think I answered that one too. I think you see results the minute you get back into your home state and you step foot off the plane, right? I had an old football coach used to say, dude, how bad do you want it? Basically, right? How bad do you want it? Let's face it, it's not going to come to you. You want it, you got to go get it. You know what I mean? It's that simple. And hey, look, last thing, I understand, you know, I might come across a little on the bragging side. I certainly don't mean to. Don't forget where I came from. That's for damn sure. And I know that one slip up, I can be back. But the reason why I wanted to speak is just to tell you guys that, hey, man, I was my spot was so much worse off than where you're at. Don't sweat it, shake it off. It's a great thing about being here, guys, is that it's a fresh start. Like I said, it's a fresh start. When you guys land at home, dude, you guys are at zero. And then what's good about working for Waste Connections, they don't give a shit what happened in the past, right? They want to go forward. They want to move forward and just show that you're committed, you know? And that's what it's all about. And two more things. Number one, being here, a lot of things have happened to me. I met a lot of great people, okay? And I want to talk about it real quick. Number one, Doc Loader. Dude, if you guys do not use him for any kind of questions that you have, you're crazy and nuts. When it comes to safety, he's obviously a legend, the guy will help you out. Got a new addition right there, my boy Tony McNeil. I was real impressed. Greg actually, Tony has each Thursday, Tony has a target, like a tailgate deal. If you have an incident, you get on his call and you talk about it, right? And what Greg does, he says, hey, I don't give a shit if you have an incident or you don't. I want you on there and pull some golden nuggets. I think it's a great idea. So one time Tony had somebody, manager from another district, had an incident. Thought that it was non-preventable. I thought it was preventable. I said something. Tony had only met twice. Previously, I only met him 2 times. Real brief. One of them was in Jason's meeting, and one of them he came by the shop. But I only met him twice, and I said something real quick, thought it was a preventable incident. And he said, hey, Marty, that's good stuff coming out of New York. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, the guy deals with 1,000 people. And he recognized my voice. I was taken back from it. So after the meeting had let out, I emailed him. And I said, Tony, that made me feel pretty good from all these people that you deal with. And you recognize my voice. And he said, hey, man, I know what all you guys are about because I do it for a living. I know your numbers. You're doing a fantastic job. Keep it up. And I'll tell you what really stood out with Tony is the fact that, you know, being a big shot, he actually had said, hey, look, dude, if there's something that you can see that I'm doing wrong or you'd like to see something else, let me know. How can I help you, right? How can I help you? That's that servant leadership, right? And him and I mean, turned into a friendship. It goes one way. I mean, he won't admit it, but yeah. But it's pretty cool. I lean on him all the time, right? Ron Middlestadt, I don't think he's here now, but Greg gave a speech last year, okay, and I had a presentation, and Greg said, hey, you want to speak? So I took a couple minutes and spoke. And I spoke in a couple minutes, and actually by the time my plane landed back in New York, Rob Nielsen had sent me an email, and he said, hey, I feel the same about Greg. But he said, you know, kid, you got a passion, and when you talk, it's going to take you far with your guys. And he said, keep your ears on, basically. Keep your ears on, because I'm going to have some of my sites contact you. And talk with them about the business, talk whatever you want. Just talk with them. And that was so inspirational to me that I printed out the email, right? This was 2 years ago. Printed out the email, brought it to my house, hung it on my refrigerator next to my kids' hand turkeys. And I look at it every day, and that's no bullshit. I look at it every day, and it drives me to knowing that back we were talking about how I looked up at Greg, because everybody's yanking on Greg and wanting to help, you know, Greg, help. What can you do for me? And I always wanted that to happen to me. It finally happened, and that was a wake-up call. The last one, Jason Kraft is my DVP now. Jason Kraft, I don't know what the DVPs do cross country. I have no idea. But I'll tell you what Jason does that I think is kick-ass. I'm a Target District freak. I love it. I would come here every year if I could. Every year. Jason Kraft basically throws a Target District every month. Okay? And what he does, out of the other DVPs, I don't know if you bring the low guy like me, I call myself low guy, I'm kidding around, but frontline supervisor, he brings them into the meetings, right? And for that moment in time, you feel them pretty kick-ass lining up with a DVP and the Greg Hees and the Don Hallex and everybody else that's in there, those meetings. And it's an even scale, right? It's an even scale. And as a matter of fact, Jason Kraft puts more emphasis on dealing with the frontline guys than he does with the Greg Hees. And I think it's great for the simple reason, if Jason Kraft has a message, it's got to get to the drivers. Inevitably, I'm the man giving it to him, right? And Jason knows that. He's smart enough to know that. Hey, he doesn't want to give it to Don Halleck, who's going to give it to Greg He, who's going to give it to Jerry Potts, who's going to give it to him, and then by the time I send it, all the emphasis is gone. Hey, I think he said, don't run stop signs, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm right there with him. I'm right there. I get to feel his emotion. I get to pass it on, right? And speaking of servant leadership, how I feel about Greg, Jay, I feel the same about you. I'm not kidding you. He's a little bit higher because no longer, but you're a servant leader yourself. And he sends me emails, and he doesn't do anything except, hey, the only thing he emails in, or if he calls me, is, Martin, what can I do for you? How can I help serve you? You know, and to be a frontline guy and have a DVP eating out of the palm of your hand like that, try and get it. It's pretty awesome. You know what I mean? So we are surrounded by great, inspirational people around here. Guys, I'll tell you what, it's been an awesome ride. I wouldn't change my life for anything right now. Really, I'm not kidding you. There's one more thing I would like. I got 5 minutes left?
We got about 5 hours left, Marty.
Can I get 5? I want to say one thing. I want to share a golden nugget, okay?
Go.
I had, back in the day, I was having a hard time with my coaching effectiveness, okay? Because I'm not somebody that could, I don't know, multitask. I shouldn't say that in front of Daryl. I'm not much at the multitasking. I just say safety was it. It took me a while to open up my eyes when Jason and Greg said, hey, look, dude, I need you to put towards your coaching effectiveness what you put towards your safety, because it's all in one. And I told you, didn't I, Jason, that I promised you I'd have 100 in a matter of no time, right? That's right. We turned it around. Now, one of the things that Tony McNeil does every week, he sends out emails and he'll say, hey guys, look, do me a favor. I want you to talk about handheld cell phones, or I want you to talk about icy roads. I want you to talk about truck cleanliness, whatever it is. I want you to talk about stop signs. Bring a little passion, right? Bring a little passion to your stop signs talk. Because I actually have a golden nugget right in my wallet that you guys are going to dig. I'm going to give you a short story, and I'm going to listen. It's followed by a poem. That's right, a poem. I promise you this: if you do have an issue with rolling stops at your site, I promise you, dude, you won't have it. I haven't had a stop sign, a rolling stop sign, probably close to a year, and I'll tell you why. And we can reach for that after. Here's how it happens. You have a mother, true story, happened right outside Albany, New York, not too far from our site. Have a mom and a dad, okay? High school sweethearts. They're in high school together. They get pregnant. They give birth to a little girl named Haley, baby Haley. Dad's got to drop out of school. Mom's got to drop out of school. At the time, they did what they thought they should do. And he'd just get a job. He was bouncing around, doing this and doing that, but never having any money. Okay? So, little Haley now is 8 years old. Okay? Haley's 8 years old. And Dad realizes there's better things in life for his little girl Haley and his wife than dollar store gifts at Christmas time. Haley was a great kid and realized the situation that the parents were in. Okay? So didn't really ask for anything. She was just happy to have loving parents. So Dad went and said, hey, I want to make things different for my family. I want to go get a job, a decent job. So he went to a trash hauling outfit just outside of Albany and said, hey, man, I'm here to work. I'll bust my butt for you. Please give me some work. I want a better life for my family. They said, hey, look, dude, I appreciate it, but you need a license. Go do X, Y, and Z. You do X, Y, and Z. Come back and see me, and I'll get you work. I promise you. Haley's dad did that. Went and did X, Y, and Z. Came back and said, hey, I did everything I had to do. Can I get my job? He said, yeah, you sure can. They hire him, and he drives. He's making money now. It's a couple months before Christmas. Pays off his bills, and Dad's got a couple extra bucks left for Christmas. Runs upstairs, kisses baby Haley on her chin, and says, "Hey, I'll tell you what. If you could have anything for Christmas this year, within reason, what would you want, Haley?" Haley didn't even hesitate. She said, "Dad, I want a dress." So Dad said, "A dress? Why would you pick a dress if you could have anything within reason?" I said, "No, because all my friends have a dress. All my friends wear dresses at school. But not to mention, you've never seen me look real beautiful. If I had a dress, I'd show you the most beautiful thing ever." So Dad says to Haley, "Hey, you can wear rags. You're always going to be a little girl. You don't have to worry about what you wear. But we'll see what we can do." Dad gets his next paycheck, stops, gets a box, runs home. 3 days before Christmas, Dad runs upstairs, goes to talk Haley in, kisses her on her chin, talks her in, and says, "Hey, look, Santa's coming in a couple days. He's going to have some little gifts for you, but I want you to open this. I want you to know that this is from Mom and Dad." So Haley has at it, tears open the box, pulls it out, and there's a dress. She was so excited, and she said, "Dad, I'm going to put it on right now. I want you to see me in my beautiful dress so you can see how beautiful I am." Dad says, "Hey, look, I told you before, I don't need this to see in your dress. I know how beautiful you are. I don't want to see it now because tomorrow night, it's Christmas Eve. I got to go to work. I'm going because we're going to mom's, or we're going to grandma's. Grandpa had passed away. We're going to go to grandma's for Christmas Eve. You're going to be my date. So as you know, everybody, Christmas Eve, garbage, we run, right? So Dad gets in his garbage truck, gets his hail on the chin, heads to work. No school on Christmas Eve, so Haley's getting impatient, waiting for Daddy. Calls him up, says, "Hey Dad, where are you?" And so I got my dress on. Dad says, "Haley, gotta hang tight. I got an hour and a half left on my route. When I get done with my route, I gotta shoot back to the shop. If I dump this off, I'm gonna be home 2.5 hours. I promise you, hang tight, I'll be there." Okay? Dad kept away, he never even made it home. He was in such a hurry to get home that he rolled through a stop sign. Got T-boned by a tractor trailer, he lost his life. Fucking allergies. Lost his life. Haley was supposed to be the best Christmas that she ever had. In fact, she had the worst. She didn't talk much after that, so the article says. She didn't talk much after that. Her mother, when she would be at school, her mother would clean the room for her and see scrap pieces of paper, and on the pieces of paper would be, some of her thoughts. And she took them like for a scrapbook. And one day, Haley goes to school, mom's cleaning the room, and there's a poem. Looks like a poem. I wanted to read this. It's called "The Sign That Read Stop." My darling Daddy, the things I'll miss. Your bedtime stories and goodnight kiss. Each night I cry until I drop. All because of a sign that read stop. I know you're in heaven looking down at me. I'll make you proud. Just wait and see. Where have you gone? You've left me alone. But I'll never forget the love that you've shown. I'll never forget the short time that we had. But you're with Grandpa now. And that makes me glad. I'll never forget when you tucked me in. You'd say that you loved me and then kiss my chin. I can write no longer, I'm starting to cry. Because of a sign, my dad had to die. You took my dad on the way to his shop, all because a sign that read stop. Copy that, right? Look, guys, I'll give you my email. We're probably all going to go out to eat tonight together. My name's Marty Hansen. You can look me up online. I'll send you the attachment. The story's not too hard to remember. You know what I mean? Get together with your guys. Boys, I am telling you, get together with your guys. And if you're not one of those guys that can recite poetry in front of them, hey, don't. But I can tell you what, read it to your family, read it to your kids. If your kids drive, give it to somebody that may want to make a difference in somebody's life. Because that's a golden nugget right there. Come on. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's been a blast. And, man, like I said, eat it up. Guys, do the right thing when you're here. Right? Make it count. All right? Thanks for the time, everybody.
Obviously, everybody sees the passion. So, a little bit of an inside joke during the course of the last couple of years, or 2 years, I guess. So, the first time we had, what was it, the second time after Most Improved, we had a meeting over in the conference center, I guess, it was Woodland Conference. And And so we drove over and decided we didn't need any GPS unit. So we got lost about 165 times. Pretty much every time we wanted to go to the Woodlands Conference Center, we got lost. And we always ended up...
6 Pines. I saw 6 Pines everywhere.
Every single time we ended up on 6 Pines, still lost and not knowing where we were at. So through the course of the past year, it's been an ongoing joke with me and Marty. So I'll call him up on the phone. Him saying that we're going to go back, we're going back to 6 Pines is what we would always say. And it turned into a big, long-running joke. So we were talking to him on the way down about how we were going to steal one of the 6 Pines signs. And, part of it was that getting the added insurance for the rental car, so we could knock down one of the signs to the table. But ultimately what we did, in memory, of the speech and everything, and look, this was you wouldn't know it from the way he did the job, but something that Marty was real nervous about coming into. Did an excellent job. So in memory of that, got him a sign, because it was 6 Pines was
I love it. It's going in the office.